The shuttle landed with a soft hum on the silver platform of the Galactic Defense Academy. Park Ho stood up from his seat and grabbed his small bag. He was 23 years old, tall for a human, with short black hair and calm dark eyes. He wore the gray uniform of a new cadet. On his chest was a small patch with the blue and green colors of Earth. He was the first human to ever attend this academy, the first human to be invited, the first human many of these aliens would ever meet in person. Ho walked down the ramp and stepped onto the platform. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. The sky above was purple with 3 small suns hanging low on the horizon. He had studied this planet for months, but seeing it with his own eyes was different. It was real now. A group of alien cadets stood near the entrance of the main building. They had stopped talking when his shuttle arrived. Now they watched him in silence. Ho counted 12 of them. Some were tall and thin with long necks. Others were short with thick bodies covered in scales. One had feathers of bright blue and yellow. Another looked like a walking plant with leaves instead of hair. None of them smiled. None of them waved. They just watched. Ho knew why. He had read the reports. He had seen the documents. To most species in the galaxy, humans were a mystery. Earth had only made contact with the galactic community 15 years ago. In that short time, humans had built ships, learned alien languages, and sent diplomats to 100 worlds. They had done in 15 years what most species took centuries to achieve. This made the galaxy nervous. But there was something else, something deeper. Something that made aliens look at humans the way a rabbit looks at a wolf. Ho walked toward the group. He kept his pace slow and steady. He did not want to seem threatening. He had been trained for this. Smile, but not too much. Move slowly. Keep your hands visible. Do not make sudden movements. Do not stare too long at anyone. These were the rules for humans meeting aliens. These were the rules to make them feel safe. A tall creature with gray skin and large black eyes stepped forward. It wore a white uniform with gold marks on the shoulders. This was an instructor, Ho guessed. "You are the human," the instructor said. Its voice was deep and slow, like stones rolling down a hill. "Yes, sir," Ho said. "Cadet Park Ho from Earth. I am honored to be here." The instructor studied him for a long moment. Its large eyes moved up and down, looking at every part of him. Ho stood still and let it look. "I am Instructor," the creature said. "I will take you to your quarters. Follow me." Ho followed the instructor past the group of cadets. He felt their eyes on his back as he walked. He heard them whispering in languages he did not fully understand, but he caught some words like predator and dangerous and earth creature. He pretended not to hear. The academy was huge. The hallways were wide and tall, built for species of many different sizes. The walls were white and smooth, with soft lights glowing from the ceiling. Students walked past them, always moving to the side when they saw Ho coming, always keeping their distance. Instructor stopped in front of a door. "This is your room. You will share it with another cadet." "Thank you, sir," Ho said. The instructor looked at him again with those big dark eyes. "The other cadets are afraid of you. Do you know why?" Ho thought about lying. He thought about pretending to be confused, but he decided to be honest. "Yes, sir, I know why." The instructor nodded slowly. "Good. Understanding is the first step to peace." It turned and walked away, its long legs moving in a strange rhythm. Ho opened the door and stepped inside. The room was simple. 2 beds, 2 desks, 2 small closets. One side of the room was already occupied. There were books on the desk and clothes in the closet. His roommate was not here. Ho put his bag on the empty bed and sat down. He looked out the window at the purple sky and the 3 suns. He thought about home. He thought about his mother and father back in Seoul. He thought about the small apartment where he grew up and the busy streets he used to walk. He was very far from home now. The door opened and a creature walked in. It was short, about half Ho's height, with a round body covered in soft gray fur. It had 4 arms and 2 large eyes that looked like golden coins. When it saw Ho, it stopped in the doorway. Its fur stood up on its body like a scared cat. "Hello," Ho said softly. "I am your new roommate. My name is Ho." The creature did not move. Its golden eyes were wide with fear. "I will not hurt you," Ho said. "I promise." The creature swallowed hard. Ho could see its throat move under the fur. "I am," it said finally. Its voice was high and shaky. "I am from the system." "Nice to meet you," Ho said. He stayed on his bed, not moving closer. "I am from Earth." "I know," said. "Everyone knows you are the human." "Yes, I am the human." Slowly walked into the room. It kept close to the wall, as far from Ho as possible. It sat on its bed and pulled its 4 arms close to its body. "Is it true?" asked. "Is what true?" "The stories about your planet, about your species." Ho thought for a moment. "What stories have you heard?" Sfur was still standing up. "That your planet is full of predators, that you hunt for food, that you eat meat." Ho nodded slowly. "Some of that is true." Made a small sound like a whimper. "But I will not hurt you," Ho said again. "Humans do not hurt friends, and I would like us to be friends." Looked at him for a long time. Its golden eyes were searching, trying to understand. "Why did you come here?" asked. "Why would a human want to attend this academy?" It was a good question. Ho had asked himself the same thing many times. "Because I want to help," he said. "I want to show the galaxy that humans can be trusted, that we can work together, that we do not have to be feared." Was quiet for a moment. Then it said, "My mother told me to stay away from you. She said humans are dangerous." "Your mother is smart," Ho said. "Humans can be dangerous, but so can anyone. The difference is choice. I choose to be peaceful. I choose to be kind." Thought about this. Slowly, very slowly, its fur began to lay flat again. "I have never met a predator before," said. "On my planet, all species eat plants. We do not understand the concept of hunting." "I can teach you," Ho said. "If you want to learn, and you can teach me about your world." For the first time, something changed in its eyes. The fear was still there, but now there was something else too. Curiosity. "Maybe," said, "maybe we can try." Ho smiled gently. "That is all I ask." That night, Ho lay in his bed and listened to the strange sounds of the alien world outside his window. He could hear breathing softly on the other bed. The little creature had finally fallen asleep after hours of watching Ho with nervous eyes. Tomorrow, classes would begin. Tomorrow, Ho would sit in a room full of aliens who feared him. He would answer their questions. He would endure their stares. He would prove that humans were more than the monsters they imagined. It would not be easy, but nothing worth doing ever was. Ho closed his eyes and let sleep take him. In his dreams, he was back on Earth, walking through the streets of Seoul with his mother. She was holding his hand and telling him to be brave, to be kind, to show the universe the best of what humanity could be. He would try every single day. The classroom was large and shaped like a half circle. Rows of seats rose up from the floor like stairs in a theater. At the bottom was a wide platform where the instructor would stand. Behind the platform was a massive screen that showed images and text during lessons. Ho walked in and looked for a seat. The room was already half full of alien cadets. When they saw him enter, the talking stopped. Every eye turned to watch him. He was used to this now. 3 weeks at the academy had taught him that silence followed him everywhere. He no longer let it bother him. He simply found an empty seat at the end of a row and sat down. The seats around him stayed empty. The other cadets chose spots far away, leaving a bubble of space around the human. Ho opened his notebook and waited for class to begin. Came in a few minutes later. The small furry creature looked around the room, saw Ho, and hesitated. Then, to Ho's surprise, walked over and sat in the seat next to him. "Good morning," Ho said quietly. "Good morning," replied. Its golden eyes darted around nervously at the other students who were now staring at them both. "You do not have to sit here," Ho said. "I understand if you want to sit with others." Shook its head. "You are my roommate, and you have been kind to me. I will not pretend you do not exist." Ho felt warmth in his chest. "Thank you." A tall, bird-like creature with bright green feathers sat a few seats away. She had been watching them. Now she leaned closer. "You are strange, little," she said to, "sitting next to the predator like that. Are you not scared?" "I am scared," admitted. "But Ho has not hurt me. He has been very polite." The bird creature made a sound like a laugh. "Polite, yes. The prey is always calm before the hunter strikes." Ho looked at her. "I am not hunting anyone." The bird creature's eyes narrowed. "Not yet." Before Ho could respond, the door at the bottom of the room opened and the instructor walked in. It was Instructor, a creature Ho had not seen before. Was tall and thin, with smooth blue skin that looked wet. It had gills on its neck and large yellow eyes with no visible pupils. It walked on two legs but moved in a flowing way, like water. "Good morning, cadets," said. Its voice was soft and musical, like wind through bells. "Today we will study survival tactics, specifically how to survive an encounter with a hostile predator species." Ho felt the air in the room change. Several students glanced at him. He kept his face calm and his eyes on the instructor. Turned on the screen behind it. An image appeared showing a large creature with sharp teeth, claws, and red eyes. It looked like a monster from a nightmare. "This is said, one of the most dangerous predator species in the galaxy. They hunt in packs. They are fast, strong, and intelligent. If you encounter in the field, what do you do?" The green bird raised her wing. "Run." "Good," said. "Running is often the best option. What else?" A creature that looked like a walking rock spoke up. "Hide, find shelter, make yourself invisible." "Excellent, hiding can save your life." More students gave answers. "Call for help, use a distress signal, find higher ground, create a distraction, play dead." Nodded at each answer. "All good strategies. Now let us make this more specific. I want you to write down 3 ways to neutralize a predator threat. Not kill, not fight, just neutralize, make the threat go away." The students began writing in their notebooks. Ho looked at his blank page. He understood the question differently than the others. For them, neutralize meant escape. For a human, the word had other meanings. He raised his hand. His yellow eyes turned to him. The classroom went silent. "Yes, Cadet Park. I have a question about the assignment, sir." "Go ahead." Ho kept his voice calm and steady. "When you say neutralize the predator, do you mean temporarily or forever?" The silence that followed was absolute. Not a single creature moved. Not a single breath could be heard. Even the air seemed to stop flowing. Its gills fluttered rapidly. Its smooth blue skin seemed to grow paler. The yellow eyes were fixed on Ho with an expression he could not read. "I do not understand your question," said finally. Ho spoke simply as if explaining something obvious. "Temporary neutralization means making the predator leave, scaring it away, creating distance, but it can come back later. It is still a threat." He paused. "Permanent neutralization means the predator will never threaten anyone again. These require different strategies. I wanted to know which one you were asking about." The green bird creature had pressed herself against the back of her seat. Her feathers were standing up in alarm. Had gone very still, its 4 arms wrapped around itself. Took a step backward. It was a small movement, probably automatic, but Ho noticed it. The instructor was afraid of him. "We are discussing temporary measures," said. Its musical voice had lost its smoothness. "We do not teach lethal combat at this academy." "I understand, sir. Thank you for clarifying." Ho looked down at his notebook and began to write. He pretended not to notice that every creature in the room was staring at him with new eyes. The lesson continued, but the energy had changed. kept glancing at Ho as it spoke. The other students whispered to each other when they thought he was not listening. He heard words like killer and monster and earth predator. When the class ended, the students left quickly. They moved around Ho like water around a stone, never getting too close, only stayed behind. That was started, then stopped. It seemed to search for the right word. That was frightening. "I am sorry," Ho said. "I did not mean to scare anyone. I was genuinely asking for clarification." Looked at him with its golden eyes. "That is what makes it frightening. You were not trying to be scary. You were just being yourself. And yourself thinks about permanent ways to end a threat." Ho considered this. Was right. To him, the question had been natural, logical. When humans faced a predator throughout their history, they did not just run away. They made plans. They built weapons. They hunted the hunters. "On Earth," Ho said slowly, "we were not always at the top of the food chain. There were animals bigger than us, faster than us, stronger than us. They ate our ancestors. They killed our children." Listened quietly. "So we learned to fight back. We learned to make tools and weapons. We learned to work together. And yes, we learned to kill the things that tried to kill us, not out of cruelty but out of survival." "But you are safe now," said. "Your planet has no more threats." Ho smiled sadly. "We are never truly safe. That is what Earth teaches us. There is always another danger, another challenge, another threat. So we are always prepared, always thinking, always asking, if something tries to hurt me, how do I stop it?" "Temporarily or forever," said softly. "Yes, both options must be considered." They walked out of the classroom together. In the hallway, students moved aside to let them pass. Ho saw fear in their eyes, but also something new, respect, maybe even awe. He had not meant to reveal so much about human nature, but perhaps it was better this way. The galaxy needed to understand what humans were, not monsters, not mindless killers, but survivors, protectors, a species that would do whatever was necessary to keep themselves and their friends safe. That night, asked Ho a question before they went asleep. "If something threatened me, would you help?" Ho looked at his small furry roommate. "Yes, without hesitation." "Would you neutralize the threat temporarily or forever?" Ho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Whatever was necessary to keep you safe." Sfur lay flat. Its golden eyes were calm. "I think I am starting to understand humans," said. "What do you understand?" "You are not cruel, you are not evil, you are just very good at surviving, and you protect your friends with the same energy that you protect yourselves." Ho nodded. "That is exactly right." "I am glad you are my roommate," said. "I think I am safer now than I have ever been." Ho smiled in the darkness. "I will always keep you safe. That is what friends do." The Academy would never look at the human the same way again. But that was okay. Ho was not here to be liked. He was here to show the galaxy what humanity truly was. And today, they had begun to see. The story spread through the Academy like fire through dry grass. By the next morning, every student knew what the human had said. The question echoed in hallways, dining halls, and dormitory rooms. Temporarily or forever. 5 words that changed everything. Ho noticed the difference immediately. Before, the other students had avoided him out of general fear. They knew he was a predator species, and that made them nervous. But now the fear was specific. Now they looked at him and saw a creature that calculated death as easily as breathing. He sat alone in the dining hall, eating his breakfast of synthetic proteins and vegetables. The tables around him were empty. Students sat as far away as the room allowed, watching him with wide eyes. Had class early that morning and could not join him. Ho missed the small creature's company. Was the only one who treated him like a person instead of a weapon. A shadow fell over his table. Ho looked up. The green bird creature stood there. Her feathers were sleek and smooth, pressed tight against her body. Her eyes were sharp and focused on him. "May I sit?" she asked. Ho was surprised. "Of course." She sat across from him, her movements careful and controlled. For a long moment she just looked at him, studying his face. "I am," she said finally, "from the system. I am Ho. I know who you are. Everyone knows who you are." She tilted her head, a bird-like gesture. "I was in class yesterday. I heard your question." "I remember." Was silent for a moment. Then she said, "I could not sleep last night. I kept thinking about what you said, and I realized something important." "What did you realize?" "That my entire species has been living a lie." Ho set down his food and gave her his full attention. "What do you mean?" His feathers ruffled slightly. "My people are prey. We have always been prey. On our home world we were hunted by larger creatures for millions of years. We evolved to run, to hide, to escape. That is our nature." "Many species here have similar histories," Ho said. "Yes, and that is the problem," leaned forward. "When we joined the galactic community, we thought we had escaped the predators. We thought technology and civilization had made us safe. We built walls and ships and weapons, and we told ourselves that we would never be hunted again. But we never changed our thinking. We still think like prey. We still believe that running and hiding are the only options. We never considered that there might be another way." Ho understood, "And my question showed you that other way." "Your question terrified me," admitted. "When you asked about permanent neutralization, my heart nearly stopped. I thought, this creature is thinking about how to kill, and that thought was so foreign to me that it broke something in my mind." "I am sorry if I scared you." Shook her head. "No, do not apologize, because after the fear came understanding. I realized that you were not being cruel or violent. You were being practical. You were asking a logical question that my species has been too afraid to ask for our entire history." Ho waited for her to continue. "Prey species think about survival in terms of escape," said. "But you think about survival in terms of victory. You do not just want to get away from the threat. You want to make sure the threat can never hurt you or anyone else ever again." "That is how humans are trained to think," Ho agreed. "We call it strategic planning." Made a soft sound, almost like a laugh but sadder. Strategic planning, such simple words for such a powerful idea. She looked at him with new eyes. "Do you know what my people would do if it attacked one of our colonies?" "What would you do?" "We would evacuate. We would run to our ships and fly away. We would find a new planet and build a new home, and they would keep our old world and use it as a hunting ground for more victims." "And what would humans do?" His feathers shivered. "I have read the reports. I know what happened when the Empire attacked your colony on Titan 7. Ho's expression did not change. "That was a difficult time. They killed 3,000 human civilians. They expected you to retreat like everyone else. They expected you to abandon the planet and accept defeat." Paused. "Instead, you sent your fleet, not to rescue survivors, not to evacuate, but to fight. They needed to learn that attacking humans has consequences. You destroyed their entire invasion force, 40,000 soldiers. You did not capture them or negotiate with them. You ended them, permanently." Ho was quiet. "And then," continued, "you sent a message to the Emperor. Do you remember what it said?" "I remember. It said, 'This is what happens when you hunt humanity. You become the prey.'" The dining hall seemed very quiet. Ho noticed that students at other tables had stopped eating. They were listening. "The Empire signed a peace treaty the next week," said. "They have not attacked any human settlement since. In fact, they have not attacked anyone since. They are afraid." "Good," Ho said simply. "They should be afraid." Stared at him. "You do not feel guilt. You do not feel sadness for the 40,000 lives you ended." Ho thought carefully before answering. "I feel sadness for the 3,000 humans they killed first. I feel sadness that violence was necessary at all, but guilt for defending my people. No, I do not feel guilty for protecting the innocent. This is what I do not understand about humans, said. You are capable of great violence, but you do not seem to enjoy it. You are not cruel. You do not hunt for pleasure. Yet when threatened, you become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We are complicated, Ho admitted. Humans can be kind and generous. We build hospitals and schools and charities. We help strangers and protect the weak. But we can also be ruthless and deadly when we need to be. Both things are true. Both things are part of who we are. Was silent for a long time. The other students in the dining hall slowly went back to their meals, though they continued to glance at the table where the human and the bird sat together. I want to learn, said finally. Learn what? How to think like you, how to stop being prey. Her feathers ruffled with emotion. My people have been running for so long. We are tired. We want to stop being afraid. We want to be able to protect ourselves instead of always running away. Ho looked at her with understanding. That is a difficult journey. Changing how you think is not easy. I know, but you can teach me. You can show me how humans see the world. Why me? Why not study our military or our history? Made a sound that might have been a sad laugh. Because you are here. Because you sat in a classroom full of prey species and asked a question that none of us would ever think to ask. Because you looked at a predator threat and immediately thought about how to end it forever. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. You are not just a human, Ho. You are a teacher, and whether you meant to or not, you are already teaching us. Ho considered her words. He had come to the academy to show the galaxy that humans could be trusted. He had not expected to become a mentor for species that wanted to stop being victims. But perhaps this was how trust was built, not through words and promises, but through sharing knowledge, through helping others become stronger. I will teach you what I can, he said, but you must understand something first. What? The goal is not to become violent. The goal is to have options. Right now, when you face a threat, you can only run or hide. I want to give you more choices. I want you to be able to fight if you need to, negotiate if possible, and yes, end threats permanently if there is no other way. Nodded slowly. Options, choices, the freedom to decide how to respond instead of just reacting. Exactly. Then I am ready to learn. Ho smiled. It was a small smile but genuine. Then we will begin tomorrow. Meet me after classes in the training room. Yes. Tell anyone else who wants to learn. This lesson is for everyone who is tired of being afraid. Stood up, her feathers now smooth and calm. There was something different in her eyes now. Hope, perhaps, or determination. Thank you, human, she said. You can call me Ho. Thank you, Ho. She walked away and Ho returned to his breakfast, but he noticed that the dining hall felt different now. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with something else, something new. Curiosity, interest, the beginning of understanding. The silence after his question had been filled with terror, but now, slowly, it was filling with something better. Chain. The training room was larger than Ho had expected. It had high ceilings, padded floors, and walls covered in strange alien equipment that he did not recognize. Holographic screens floated near the entrance, ready to display information. Ho arrived early to prepare. He had spent the previous night thinking about how to teach creatures who had never known violence. It was like trying to explain color to someone who had been blind their entire life. He heard footsteps behind him and turned. Walked in, her green feathers bright under the training room lights. Behind her came, walking on 4 small legs, its golden eyes wide with curiosity. I invited, said. I hope that is acceptable. Of course, Ho said, nodding to his roommate. Anyone who wants to learn is welcome. More students entered over the next few minutes. The rock-like creature from class, whose name was, A tall, thin being with blue skin and 4 eyes called. A small creature that looked like a walking mushroom named, and others, perhaps 20 in total. They filled the training room, standing in a half circle around Ho. He noticed that some of them were shaking. Their bodies trembled with instinctive fear. They had chosen to come, but their evolution was screaming at them to run from the predator. Ho spoke gently. "Thank you for coming. I know this is not easy for you. Many of your species have spent millions of years avoiding creatures like me. Coming here goes against every instinct you have." The students exchanged nervous glances. "I want to start by telling you something about humans," Ho continued. "Something that might help you understand us better." He pulled up a holographic image on one of the screens. It showed Earth, the blue and green planet floating in space. "This is my home world. When humans first evolved, we were not at the top of the food chain. We were small, weak, and slow. There were predators on Earth that could kill us easily. Big cats with sharp teeth, wolves that hunted in packs, bears that could crush us with one blow." The students listened with wide eyes. "By all logic, we should have gone extinct. We were prey just like many of you. We should have been eaten and forgotten." "But you were not," said. "No, we were not." Ho changed the image to show early humans holding spears, because we learned to do something that no other prey species had done before. We learned to fight back. The rock creature spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "But how? You were weak, as you said." "We used our minds. We made tools and weapons. We worked together in groups. And most importantly, we changed our thinking. We stopped seeing ourselves as prey. We started seeing ourselves as hunters." The room was very quiet. "This is what I want to teach you," Ho said. "Not violence for the sake of violence, but a new way of thinking, a way that gives you power over your own survival." He stepped to the center of the room. "Let me demonstrate. Would you help me?" Hesitated, then stepped forward. She was taller than Ho, with a sharp beak and clawed feet, but she moved carefully, as if afraid of hurting him. "I want you to attack me," Ho said. His feathers stood up in alarm. "What?" "Attack me, try to hit me. Do not worry, you will not hurt me." "I cannot do that." "Why not?" "Because," struggled for words, "because it is wrong. I do not attack others. My species does not do such things." Ho nodded. "This is exactly what I want to show you. You have been taught that any form of aggression is wrong, that violence is never acceptable, but this teaching has made you helpless." He turned to the group. "How many of you have ever thrown a punch, kicked an enemy, fought for your life?" No one raised their hand, or wing, or tentacle. "This is why predator species hunt you," Ho said. "They know you will not fight back. They know that your moral code prevents you from defending yourselves. They exploit this." The 4-eyed creature spoke up. "But if we become violent, are we not as bad as the predators?" "That is the lie you have been told," Ho said firmly. "Violence is a tool like fire or electricity. It can be used for good or evil. A predator uses violence to hurt the innocent. A protector uses violence to defend the innocent. The action may look the same, but the purpose is completely different." He turned back to, "Try to hit me. I promise I will not be angry. I will not hurt you. I just want to show you something." Took a deep breath. Her wings folded against her body. Then slowly, she raised one clawed foot and swung it at Ho. It was weak, hesitant, more like a gentle push than an attack. Ho did not move to dodge. The claw touched his shoulder and pushed him back half a step. "Good," he said. "Now again, faster this time." Tried again, a little faster, a little stronger. Again. She tried again and again. Each time, Ho encouraged her. Each time she put a little more force into the movement. Finally, she swung with real power. Ho stepped aside smoothly, letting her momentum carry her forward. Then he gently tapped her on the back of the head. "If this were real combat," he said, "you would be dead now. But that is not the point. The point is that you tried. You attacked. You overcame millions of years of evolution that told you to run away. Turned to face him, breathing hard. Her feathers were wild and disordered, but her eyes were bright. I did it, she said. I actually attacked someone. How do you feel? She thought about it. Strange, my whole body is shaking, but also powerful, like I have discovered a part of myself that I never knew existed. Ho nodded and turned to the group. This is what I want to teach you, not to become killers, not to enjoy violence, but to know that you have the ability to fight if you must, to know that you are not helpless. He spent the next 2 hours teaching them basic movements, how to stand in a strong position, how to block an attack, how to strike with maximum force. Simple things that humans learned as children but which were completely new to these prey species. They struggled. Their bodies were not built for combat. His 4 arms got tangled up when it tried to punch, was so slow that any enemy could easily avoid him. The mushroom creature could barely lift its small limbs. But they tried, they failed and tried again, and slowly they began to improve. Near the end of the session, Ho gathered them together again. I want to teach you one more thing, he said, the most important lesson of all. They listened with tired but eager expressions. Human history is filled with war and violence. We have done terrible things to each other and to other creatures, but we have also done something remarkable. We have learned to control our power. He looked at each of them in turn. Any strong creature can hurt others. It takes no skill to be cruel, but it takes great strength to have power and choose not to use it. This is what separates a predator from a protector. Ho held up his hand, showing them his fist. This hand can kill. I have trained for years to make it a weapon, but I do not use it to hurt innocent people. I use it to defend them. The power is always there, but the choice of when to use it is what defines me. Stepped forward. So you are not asking us to become violent. You are asking us to become strong enough to choose when violence is necessary. Yes, exactly, Ho smiled. A prey species runs from every threat because it has no other choice, but a strong species can evaluate each situation. Sometimes running is the right choice, sometimes hiding is better, and sometimes when innocent lives are at stake, fighting is the only option. Raised one of its 4 arms, and sometimes permanent neutralization. The room went quiet. Everyone remembered the question that had started all of this. Sometimes, Ho admitted, when the threat is too dangerous, when it cannot be stopped any other way, when the cost of letting it live is too high. He paused. I hope you never face such a situation, but if you do, I want you to have the ability to make that choice. The students looked at each other. Something had changed in them. The fear was not gone, but it had been joined by something stronger, confidence, understanding, the beginning of real power. Same time tomorrow, Ho asked. 20 voices answered together, yes. As they filed out of the training room, stopped beside Ho. Thank you, she said. For the first time in my life, I feel like I can protect myself, like I am not just waiting to be hunted. You were never just prey. You just needed someone to show you the power that was already inside you. She made a soft sound, almost like crying but happier. I understand now why the galaxy fears humans, but I also understand why they should respect you. You are not monsters. You are survivors who became protectors. Ho watched her walk away, her feathers now smooth and proud instead of frightened. Tomorrow he would teach them more, and the day after that and the day after that. Soon, the academy would have a new kind of student, prey species who had learned to be strong, victims who had become defenders. The galaxy was changing, one lesson at a time. 6 months had passed since Ho arrived at the Galactic Defense Academy. The purple sky and 3 suns no longer seemed strange to him. This alien world had become a second home. He stood on the observation deck of the main building, looking out at the campus below. Students walked between buildings, attending classes, studying in groups, living their lives. From this height, he could see how much had changed. The empty space around him was gone. Students no longer ran away when he walked through the halls. They nodded at him, some even smiled. A few stopped to chat, asking about Earth or discussing their homework. He was no longer the monster they feared. He was just Ho, their classmate, their friend. His training sessions had grown from 20 students to over 200. What started as secret lessons in an empty room had become an official class called Human Self-Defense Studies. Instructor had approved it after watching one session and declaring it the most useful course the Academy had ever offered. Footsteps approached from behind. Ho did not need to turn around to know who it was. "Good morning." "Good morning." The small furry creature stood beside him, its 4 arms resting on the railing. Its golden eyes looked out at the same view, thinking deep thoughts again. "Just remembering how different things were when I first arrived." Made a sound like a chuckle. "You mean when I was so scared of you that I slept with one eye open every night?" "Yes, those days." They seemed like a lifetime ago. Turned to look at him. "I was so stupid. I looked at you and saw a predator. I could not see the person behind the biology." "You were not stupid. You were following your instincts. There is no shame in that." "Maybe, but I am glad I got over those instincts. I would have missed knowing you." They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Below them, a group of students practiced the combat moves Ho had taught them. Their forms were still rough, but they were improving every day. Came up to join them. Her green feathers were carefully groomed, and she walked with a confidence that had not existed 6 months ago. "The graduation ceremony is tomorrow," she said. "Are you ready?" "Ready for what?" Ho asked. "Your speech. They asked you to give a speech, remember?" Ho had indeed received the invitation from the Academy administration. They wanted the first human graduate to address the entire student body. It was an honor, but also a great responsibility. "I have been thinking about what to say," he admitted. "It is not easy to summarize this experience in a few words." "Tell them the truth," suggested. "That is what you always do. That is why we trust you." "The truth," Ho nodded slowly. "Yes, the truth." The next day, the graduation ceremony was held in the Grand Hall of the Academy. Thousands of students and faculty members filled the seats. Holographic cameras broadcast the event to planets across the galaxy. This was not just a graduation. It was a historic moment. Ho walked to the podium, wearing the formal gray uniform of a graduating cadet. The audience watched him in silence, but it was not the fearful silence of 6 months ago. It was the respectful silence of people waiting to hear something important. He looked out at the sea of alien faces, creatures with feathers and scales and fur, beings of every shape and size, species that had once looked at him with terror in their eyes. He began to speak. "When I first came to this academy, I was alone, not just because I was the only human, but because you were afraid of me. You looked at me and saw a predator, a killer, a monster from a planet of violence." The audience was completely still. "I understood your fear. Humans have a violent history. We have fought wars among ourselves for thousands of years. We have killed and destroyed and conquered. These facts cannot be." He paused. "But I came here to show you something else, something that exists alongside the violence, something that makes us more than just predators." He thought of who had overcome instinctive terror to become his closest friend. He thought of who had learned to stand and fight instead of running away. He thought of and all the others who had trained with him, who had faced their fears and found strength they never knew they had. Humans are not defined by our ability to kill. We are defined by our choice not to. Every day, we wake up with the power to harm others, and every day, most of us choose peace instead. This choice is what makes us human. He looked directly into the cameras. knowing his words were reaching billions of beings across the galaxy. For too long, the galaxy has been divided into predators and prey, species that hunt and species that are hunted. But this division is false. It is a lie that keeps prey species weak and afraid. Ho raised his voice. I have spent 6 months teaching you that you do not have to be prey. You have the ability to fight. You have the strength to defend yourselves and protect others. You are not helpless. You never were. He saw in the audience her green feathers bright. She was sitting straight and proud, her fear long gone. But learning to fight is not enough. You must also learn when not to fight. Power without wisdom is just destruction. Strength without kindness is just cruelty. The goal is not to become predators yourselves. The goal is to become protectors. He thought of his parents back on Earth. His father, a doctor who healed the sick. His mother, a teacher who shaped young minds. Both of them strong in their own ways, both of them choosing to use their strength for good. Humans have a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. This means that the stronger you are, the more careful you must be with that strength. The more choices you have, the more important it becomes to choose wisely. Ho smiled. I came to this academy as a stranger and a monster. I leave it as a graduate and a friend. This transformation did not happen because I changed. It happened because you changed. You looked past your fear and saw me for who I really am, a person, just like you. The audience began to stir. Some students were making soft sounds of agreement. Others were nodding their heads or equivalent body parts. I want to thank you for giving me a chance. I want to thank my roommate for being brave enough to become my friend when everyone else stayed away. I want to thank for asking hard questions and seeking hard answers. I want to thank everyone who came to my training sessions, who trusted me enough to learn from me. He took a deep breath. Tomorrow we go our separate ways. Some of us will join military fleets. Others will become diplomats or scientists or teachers. But wherever we go, we carry this experience with us. We carry the knowledge that species can overcome their differences, that prey and predator are just words, and they do not have to define us. Ho stood tall at the podium. The galaxy will face many threats in the coming years. Wars, disasters, challenges we cannot yet imagine, but I believe we are ready. Not because we are strong alone, but because we are strong together. Humans and aliens, predators and prey, working side by side to protect what matters. He remembered the question that had started everything. The question that had terrified an entire classroom and changed the way the academy saw humanity. An instructor once asked me to list 3 ways to neutralize a predator. I asked if he meant temporarily or forever. That question scared many of you. It revealed something about human nature that you did not want to see. The hall was absolutely silent. But I want you to understand what that question really means. It does not mean that humans want to kill. It means that humans are willing to do whatever is necessary to protect the innocent. Temporarily if possible, forever if required. We do not seek violence, but we do not run from it either. He looked at all the friends he had made during his time at the academy. And now neither do you. You have learned that you have the same power. You can choose peace, but you can also choose to fight when peace is not possible. You are no longer helpless prey. You are protectors of the galaxy. Ho stepped back from the podium. Thank you, and good luck to all of us. The applause started slowly, was the first, clapping all 4 of its small hands together, then joined in, slapping her wings against her body, then others, one by one, until the entire hall roared with approval. Ho walked off the stage and was immediately surrounded by friends, hugged him with all 4 arms, bowed her feathered head in respect, made a deep rumbling sound that might have been a rock creature's version of cheering. Later that night, Ho stood on the observation deck one last time. Tomorrow he would board a shuttle and leave this world, but he would never forget what had happened here. And stood with him, looking up at the stars. "What will you do now?" asked. "Go back to Earth for a while," Ho said. "See my family, then probably join the diplomatic corps. There are many more academies like this one, many more species who need to learn what I taught you." "You will be busy," observed. "Yes, but it is important work. The galaxy is changing, and I want to help guide that change." Turned to face him. "I never thanked you properly for everything you taught me, for showing me that I do not have to be afraid." "You do not need to thank me. You did the hard work yourself. I just showed you the path." Still placed a clawed foot on his shoulder, a gesture of deep respect in her culture. "You changed my life. You changed all our lives. I will never forget that." Nodded in agreement, its golden eyes shining in the starlight. "You are the first human any of us ever met, and you showed us the best of what humans can be." Ho looked at his two friends, the small furry creature who had once been terrified of him, the green-feathered bird who had once called him a monster, both of them now standing beside him as equals, as family. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The galaxy has billions of beings who have never met a human. They will be afraid just like you were, but fear does not last forever. Understanding can replace it. Trust can grow." He looked up at the stars, at the countless worlds waiting to be reached. "Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We sometimes fail, but we never stop trying. We never stop reaching for something better. That is what I want the galaxy to know about us." Leaned against him, warm and comfortable. "I think they are starting to understand." "Yes," agreed. "One world at a time, one person at a time, the understanding spreads." Ho smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fears to overcome, new bridges to build between species. But tonight, he stood with his friends under alien stars and felt hope for the future. The galaxy had learned something important about humans. They were dangerous, yes. They could kill if they had to. But they were also kind, brave, and endlessly determined to do what was right. And that made them the best friends the galaxy could ever have.